Hey guys, welcome to yet again a kinda new segment on the channel. I usually upload all my new record pickups unlisted and put them in this playlist on the channel. The only reason I never made these public was because they just weren't on par with the rest of the content on my channel, and I figured it would probably stick out like a sore thumb. But from now on, I'll just be doing these recaps of all the records I picked up every so often in one big video. I see a lot of channels do this, and it makes a lot more sense to do it this way. Also, if you didn't watch my last video, I mentioned that I'll be doing a giveaway for one of these Tyler the Creator Call Me If You Get Lost boxes. This giveaway will end
March 1st,
and there will be more details on how to enter at the end of this video. Let's get into it. The most recent record I've picked up is Tribe Called Quest's last album, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service. I know this might be blasphemous to say, but this might be my favorite Tribe album. Or it's definitely at least tied with Low End Theory and Midnight Marauders. That's like the holy trinity of their albums. When this album first got announced, I was a little worried that it was gonna fall flat and be a cash grab, but it ended up being my favorite album to come out that year. And there were a lot of good albums to come out that year. Speaking of which, I know people complain about the Grammys each year and use the Kendrick incident or the Weeknd incident as an example as to why they're awful, but how in the hell did this album not get nominated? It's so disrespectful. I don't know why that doesn't get brought up enough. Anyway, this album flows flawlessly, each track is fantastic, each feature comes through, and all the members in Tribe bring their A game. My favorite tracks are Space Program, We the People, Kids, Conrad Tokyo, and Lost Somebody. Lost Somebody is just so beautiful, and rest in peace to Fife. Next up, we have Earl Sweatshirt's second studio album. I've been trying to track this album down for a while now, and I must say, this might be my favorite Earl project. It's hard to pick between this and some rap songs. I just think that during this era, I loved Earl's energy. It was off the charts. I honestly hope we get another project from Earl with this energy. Like, just listen to this version of E. coli live.
My thoughts, dreams, plots and my schemes. That's what's on my mind when I toss in my sleep. My heart like my pen when I jot and it bleed. My cart full of sin when I shop it's a spree. I got some new leaves, I'm like, what's the word with you, sir? You just moss on the tree. I'm not concerned with you. I leave a curb when I'm crossing the street. I'm watching out for the mark of the beast, the badge on the policeman. Black.
And I think he did a great job on the production end of things. My favorite tracks off this album are Faucet, DNA, Huey, and Off Top. Okay, so this album was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting to hear new Doom music so soon. When this album was coming out, I decided to pre-order it off of Gastrolls without hearing it. The reason why I pre-ordered it without hearing it was because I was a little worried that people were going to scalp this album, so I did not want to risk it. Fortunately, this album ended up being one of my favorite albums I've heard this year. Doom had some great verses on here, don't get me wrong, but I think Inspecta Deck and Esoteric really shine on this record. I haven't heard them sound this hungry in a while. My favorite tracks are Break Into Action, This Is Canon Now, Doom Unto Others, and Jason and the Zargonauts. I'm happy to get new music from Doom, and again, rest in peace. I saw this record at my local record shop and I decided to get it. I wasn't expecting it to be the white variant, but I lucked out. I still can't believe that we finally got a Electronica album. It started feeling like it was going to meet the same fate as Dr. Dre's Detox album. But it's finally here. I enjoyed this album a lot. I thought that Electronica and Jay-Z gave some great performances. I still don't understand the criticism that there's too much Jay-Z on this record or that Electronica got washed. I truly believe that if Electronica came up with a name for the two, similar to Watch the Throne or Black Star, this album might have been a little more well received. But let's get into my favorite tracks. The Neverending Story, Shiny Suit Theory, even though it leaked forever ago, Fruits of the Spirit, and APIDTA. That last track is heartbreaking and gets me choked up every time I listen to it. Well, I can't wait to hear what Jay does next. Let's just hope it doesn't take a decade to get new music from him. Regardless, I'm excited. This was another pickup from my local record store. When I passed by it, I did a double take immediately because I have never seen this record in person before. It's funny, I've recently been rewatching Samurai Champloo, and as you know, he did the song for the intro, so I've been listening to a lot of Nujabes lately. But when I saw this record, I bought it right away. It's just such a beautiful album. It's nice to just throw on while I'm cleaning my room or just hanging out. Please check out this album if you haven't. My favorite tracks are Reflection Eternal, Flowers, Lovesick Part 3, Ordinary Joe, Thank You, and of course Feather. I also want to say rest in peace to Nujabes, you'll forever be a legend. I can't believe it's taken me this long to pick up this record, but it's finally in my possession. I will say I have been holding off on getting it for a bit because I wanted the alternative cover for the album. I just love this cover. Well, this album is a classic. J Dilla is a legendary producer and his production is timeless. If you've never listened to this album, click off this video right now and listen to it. My favorite tracks are Don't Cry, You Love, Dilla Says Go, Lightworks, The Difference, Working on It, and Bye. That song is so good. I love Bye. That might be my favorite. Rest in peace to J Dilla. Definitely someone who got taken away too soon. His influence and impact is crazy. I also want to mention that I picked up this Abstract Orchestra album covering some of J Dilla's best tracks. I love these guys. They also did an album covering songs off of Mad Villainy. Definitely check that out if you like orchestra music. For this next section, these are records I got for my birthday from my older brother. Thanks again, dude. Let's get into it. This is the first record from the birthday haul and the latest from the Strokes. I think this album is slowly becoming my favorite Strokes album, which is crazy to say because First Impressions and Room on Fire have always been my favorite. That's right, First Impressions of Earth is great. I don't care what the internet or what the Strokes purists think. It's a good album. I'm just gonna say that and get that out of the way. I think with the new Abnormal, the Strokes took everything good from their previous work and put it onto this album. If this ends up being their final album, it's a great one to end on. Also, just a heads up, if you end up getting this record, please watch an unboxing of it on YouTube. The reason why I say this is you might end up opening it up wrong and you're gonna regret that. The packaging is weird. My favorite tracks are Ode to the Mets, Why Are Sundays So Depressing, and At the Door. At the Door is so good. This album's so awesome. It's funny, I always thought I had this record in my collection, but it turns out I don't. I have just been borrowing my brother's for the longest time. I even showed off his copy in one of my live streams, but now I have my own personal copy. This album is obviously a masterpiece. There have been countless video essays made on this record. There's not a whole lot left to say. It's a classic, it's Kanye's magnum opus, and it's one of the best albums of all time. I never get sick of this album. It's definitely in my top 3 Kanye albums. I don't think I'm ever going to make a Kanye worst to best video because my top 5 Kanye albums are constantly rotating, so the video will be outdated in like a month. Well, my favorite tracks are Gorgeous, Power, Dark Fantasy, Runaway, Devil in a New Dress, So Appalled, Monster, Lost in the World, pretty much the whole album. Okay, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I will admit I didn't like this album at first. It took a bit to grow on me, but once it clicked, it clicked. This is the Kendrick album I listen to the most now. I'm not saying it's his best album, but it's such a good album to just throw on when you're in a Kendrick mood. We definitely need a new Kendrick album though. It was nice hearing him on that Baby Keem song. We've missed him. I can't wait for him to come back, but we definitely need an entire album. Hopefully we get it at the end of this year or next year. Anyway, my favorite tracks on Damn are Pride, Duckworth, Element, Feel, and God. Again, please drop a new album, Kendrick. We need it. All right, that's the end of the birthday haul. Again, shout out to my older brother. Him and I did a video a while back talking about Doom. If you want to check that out, go check it out. Okay, the next 2 records we have are Vinyl Me Please exclusives. So let's get into that. Now this is another record that I've been holding off picking up. It's literally everywhere, but I was just waiting for a cool yellow variant to come out, and Vinyl Me Please came in clutch. I will say, I'm always satisfied with the presentation when it comes to Vinyl Me Please. This record came with a booklet and a paper chessboard. Now, I don't have a subscription or anything. I usually buy these online, or sometimes my local record shop will get them in. I mean, if they want to sponsor me, hit me up. I don't think I'm gonna get you a lot of business, but hey, I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, this is a hip-hop classic. It was one of the albums that got me into 90s hip-hop, so check it out if you haven't. I'd be surprised if you haven't. Again, classic. My favorite tracks are Cream, Method Man, Protect Your Neck, Bring the Ruckus, and of course, Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With. I'm shocked that I was able to get my hands on this. This is the first press for this record too. Again, Vinyl Me Please is always on point with their presentation. It always comes with some goodies. This one comes with a booklet with all the lyrics, a stencil, and the record itself is gray. It looks really nice. I like this album a lot. I think that most artists coming out of Chicago make some of my favorite hip hop music. So this album was right up my alley. It's not perfect and is flawed in a few areas, but the highs outweigh the lows, and so I'm happy to put it in my record collection. My favorite tracks are Log Out, Heaven All Around Me, Calligraphy, Busy, and Prom/King. Okay, we have another artist from Chicago, Chance the Rapper. This is his first official mixtape, 10 Day. And I'm so happy this finally got an official pressing. A while back, I almost bought a bootleg, and I'm really happy I didn't, because this probably sounds a million times better. Well, this mixtape has a lot of nostalgia for me. I used to have it burnt onto a CD that I'd bump with my friends in my Camry. Oh, a lot of good memories. It's kind of weird. I forgot how good Chance's music used to be. His first two mixtapes are iconic in my opinion. Anyway, this record is beautiful. The records themselves look like the album art, which I'm always a huge fan of. It's a gatefold too, which I always welcome as well. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how this looks and how it sounds. My favorite tracks on the album are You Got Me Fucked Up, 22 Offs, Nostalgia, Hey Ma, Family. I pretty much love this entire mixtape. I'm more than happy to add it to my collection. You might say this album's a classic. I'm sorry, that's stupid. Why the hell did I write that in here? Okay. This album brings back so many good memories. This is another album that I had burnt on a CD. I used to carry around a case full of CDs that I'd play in my car and also my friends' cars. We'd listen to this album in particular all the time, along with LP4 and their self-titled. But this one might be my favorite. I don't know, it's hard to say. But hopefully I can get LP4 and their self-titled soon, but I'm very happy to add this one in particular to my collection. I've mentioned them a few times on the channel and my Kid Cudi videos. I really like these guys, I like their music. And yeah, so let's get into my favorite tracks. My favorite tracks are Gettysburg, Taco Bell Cannon, Lex, and of course, Loud Pipes. Such a good album. Here's yet again another record that I've been holding off getting for a while now. I wanted to get the yellow variant that was on Tyler's website when this album first came out. Luckily, I was able to find one for a great price on Discogs. The corner has a tiny bend in it, but it was heavily discounted, so I can live with this minor imperfection. The records themselves look awesome, and I'm happy to add this to my collection. My favorite tracks are Where This Flower Blooms, Who Dat Boy, November, 911/Mr. Lonely, and Dropping Seeds. I definitely wasn't expecting to pick this record up, but the opportunity came and I took it. This was my introduction to Pup. I remember seeing this album cover and it made me want to check it out. I love when you go into an album completely blind and you like it first listen. That was this album for me. It's got a nice punk, angsty teen vibe to it. Anyway, this record is the pink variant. I've been getting really lucky with my record purchases lately. I love all the artwork on the front and back, and yeah, it's a good time. Let's get into my favorite tracks. Scorpion Hill, Full Blown Meltdown, See You at Your Funeral, and Morbid Stuff. Great album. This is a record I didn't think I'd ever pick up, but I walked into a record store that I rarely go to. I saw the new Mind Design and it was heavily discounted, so I had to get it. The best part is that I lucked out again with getting a variant. This one is orange. I don't know if all the records are orange, but I thought that was pretty cool too. If I had to describe this album with one word, it would be vibe. This is an album you can throw on while you're just chilling. It's got a nice jazzy lo-fi sound to it. Check it out. Check out his other stuff too. Mind Design is super underrated. He's signed to Stone's Throw. Really, really good stuff. My favorite tracks are Slow Dance, Medium Rare, 3 Hands / Divine Hand, and Rare Pleasure 2.
Welcome to the No Pressure Program.
If someone asked me if I'd ever own a Logic album on wax like 4 years ago, I would have called them crazy. I've enjoyed a few projects from him in the past, but not enough to buy them if I'm being honest. But like I said in my Logic video, I enjoyed No Pressure quite a bit. So when I saw this at my record store, I had to get it. If you want to know my thoughts on this album, go check out that video if you haven't. I will say that this album doesn't feel as special considering that Logic didn't stay retired for more than a year. He also dropped another dud album, but hey, it's still a good record. I mean, yeah. But my favorite tracks on this one are Soul Food 2, Amen, Heard 'Em Say, Celebration, and Aquarius 3. I still really enjoy this record, but man, I don't get the point of retiring for less than a year. Here we have one of my favorite albums from last year, Kenny Beats and Denzel Curry's album Unlocked. This album was a breath of fresh air, honestly. While it has elements of albums I already liked, it still did its own thing. I love the short film that they made with the release of this album. And Kenny Beats' production just keeps getting better and better. Like that new Vince album, whoo! That might be my favorite hip hop album this year. It's so hard to pick. And Denzel keeps getting better and better as well. Anyway, my favorite tracks are Diet, Take It Back, Layup, and Track 7. These next 2 records were records I picked up on Record Store Day. The first one being KMD's Mr. Hood. For those of you who don't know, KMD is the old hip hop group that MF Doom was in. Back then he went by the name Zev Love X. The group was him, DJ Subrock, who is his brother, and Rodin, who might be Mr. Fantastic, we don't know. This album is a solid listen. I'll listen to it occasionally, but if I'm in a KMD mood, I usually listen to Black Bastards. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this record sealed or not. This is the 30th anniversary of the record, and it might be cool to leave it sealed, but I don't know. My favorite tracks are Peach Fuzz, Soul Flexin', Boy Who Called the Wolf, and Who Me. This is the last record I picked up on Record Store Day. I'm a big fan of CZARFACE, and I thought this was an interesting idea. The record's supposed to be a score to a comic book that comes with it. I think I'll probably keep this bad boy sealed as well. I've listened to the album on YouTube, so I guess it's more of like a novelty record. But I'm still happy to have this in my collection. It's really cool, and I love the artwork. Second to last record I'll be talking about today is LP's 3rd solo studio album and currently his last one. He kind of has his hands tied with Run the Jewels right now, but it would be cool to get another solo project from him. I didn't check this album out until after Run the Jewels dropped. I knew who Killer Mike was, but I didn't really have an idea as to who LP was. But after listening to Run the Jewels, I knew I needed to check his stuff out, and he did not disappoint. When I saw this record, I knew I had to get it. Definitely check this album out if you're a fan of Run the Jewels. Also, if you're a fan of LP, you should definitely check out the podcast series, What Had Happened Was, hosted by Open Mike Eagle. He did 12 episodes talking to LP about Company Flow, Cannibal Ox, Def Jux, Run the Jewels, and more. It's a great series. Anyway, my favorite tracks are Drones Over Brooklyn, Tougher, Colder, Killer, The Jig Is Up, and Oh Hell No. That Danny verse is so good. He sounds so good over LP's production. I would love an entire project with LP and Danny Brown. Also, speaking of which, with Tougher, Colder, Killer, where is Despot? We've not heard from him in a while. Man, we need that album. Last but certainly not least, you got JJ Doom, the Bookie P. Now this was a nice little surprise. My older brother gave this record to me randomly and said, "Happy Little Brother Day." And I'll be honest, I have never listened to this record before. I am a huge fan of the collab album, Keys to the Cuffs, definitely a slept-on Doom project, but I never knew about this EP. Like, looking at the back, I was shocked. You got Bad Bad Not Good, Clams Casino, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, Beck, and even Tom York from Radiohead. It's so crazy. It's got remixes, but honestly, it's a fun listen, and the cover goes insanely hard, so I'm happy to have this in my collection. Again, thanks to my older brother, and rest in peace, Doom. We were all thinking about you this Halloween. So tragic. Well, that's the recap of all the records I picked up for the past few months. I'll make another one of these once I accumulate enough records. Let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments. Also, please, like for real, comment records you've picked up recently. I'd be interested in reading your recent finds. Last thing, the giveaway. So the way we're gonna do this is just message me on Instagram at UGGMUGG7. I'm gonna put all the names in a wheel and give it a spin. You don't have to follow me or anything like that. I'm only using Instagram so that I can message the winner and mail them the box. That being said, thanks again everyone, and good luck on the giveaway.